speaking of the West, let's talk about Poland. So we've been following the Poland story over the past few days, and I feel terribly for the people of Poland who have leaders there that can't make up their freaking mind. So Poland looks like it's on the verge of collapse, thanks to Russian sanctions. And it looks like Polish Prime Minister, help me out, Polish viewers, because this is not easy for me. I had Polish friends growing up, but I certainly grew up near Pittsburgh where I could go get delicious Polish food. But some of these names, I have a hard time with it. So help me out with the pronunciation of the Polish Prime Minister. You guys too. Mateusz Morawiecki? I don't know. I got it. I'm going to call him. Good. I'm going to call him.
Sounded
Polish,
perfect to me.
Polish Prime Minister. Polish Prime Minister Morawiecki. That's what I'm going to say. Could be, but you never know with a Polish name. Could be totally different, Anyway, Polish Prime Minister is about to do an about face and push for peace instead of driving his country into the toilet. This could be happening. So good for you, Polish Prime Minister. But just for some context here is the Polish Prime Minister a few months ago, who was an ardent supporter of Russian sanctions, going so far, in fact, as to call out at the time former Chancellor Angela Merkel, saying, hey, Germany's been too silent on this, and other European partners, you're too silent on Russia. We need to call them out. We need to put in very, very strict sanctions against Russia. And that turns out that didn't go very well, because we showed you a video yesterday here on the show of Polish people preparing for a freezing cold, with winter lining up, of course, and they're lining up for days in order to buy coal right now. They don't have enough, so they're going to freeze, and they're camping out for 2, 3, 4 days at a time because of Russian sanctions and these moronic leaders who are more concerned with, look at these guys, like sleeping in their trucks, just waiting. So even like little hatchback cars, just to put a little bit of coal in their car that they can take home for this winter. And it's still hot. Look at the grass. It's still growing. This is still the summer. So they're preparing because they know what's coming. So again, here was Polish Prime Minister. I'm not going to pronounce his last name. I'm looking. I know someone's spelling it. Beta Amazon in our chat saying Matsu Morawiecki, but I'm not going to. Morawiecki. Okay, Marco says.
Morawiecki.
Morawiecki? Did I get it right? Morawiecki. Here's what he said back in April. Here's what Morawiecki said back in April when he was meeting with French President Emmanuel Macron. Here's Morawiecki and Macron. Watch.
Panie prezydencie Macron, ile razy negocjował pan z Putinem? Co pan osiągnął? Czy powstrzymał pan którekolwiek z tych działań, które miały miejsce? Ze zbrodniarzami się nie debatuje, nie negocjuje. Zbrodniarzy trzeba zwalczać. Z Hitlerem nikt nie negocjował. Negocjowalibyście z Hitlerem? Negocjowalibyście ze Stalinem? Negocjowalibyście z Pol Potem? Panie kanclerzu Scholz, Olafie, to nie głosy niemieckich biznesów, niemieckich miliarderów, którzy teraz pewnie wstrzymują was od następnych.
So if you're listening to this, or as someone emailed me earlier today or put a message said, or they might be visually impaired. Yes, so it's not just if you're listening to the audio podcast, if you're visually impaired as well. I will kind of go, what he's saying here is, we're calling out Germany as well. We should put in further and tougher sanctions. You cannot negotiate with a Hitler. It's basically what he's calling Putin. We cannot negotiate with criminals. We shouldn't be negotiating. We should put in really tough sanctions against Russia.
Działań powinny być dzisiaj głośno słyszane w Berlinie. To głos tych niewinnych kobiet I dzieci.
And he's talking about the innocent
Głos
people
tych mordowanych.
Who are going to be killed
Powinien być usłyszany przez
by the
wszystkich Niemców
invasion.
I przez wszystkich polityków niemieckich. Chcę też zaapelować do.
So we need to put in very difficult and full sanctions against Russia. That was what he was calling for. Well, guess what? That didn't go so well. Now, the very same prime minister, Morawiecki, has flip-flopped on this. So this afternoon, the same Polish prime minister is meeting with Macron again. And it's amazing what 4 months will do to a person when your people are suffering and lining up to buy coal. So here is what he's saying today. A rift is growing between Kiev's staunch supporters and those who want business as usual with Russia, says the Polish prime minister. A burgeoning divide within the EU on the Ukraine conflict could implode the bloc, Polish Prime Minister Morawiecki told French media on Monday. This is because certain member states would prefer to seek peace than sticking with Kiev until it prevails in its fight against Russia, the Polish leader said. Speaking to the Le Figaro newspaper, Morawiecki just indicated that Russia would endeavor to persuade the West to end the hostilities in Ukraine and get back to business as usual, taking advantage of divisions among EU members in the matter. So yes, a threat of implosion exists, he says. That's why it's so important to maintain a dialogue between us to find compromises and a common denominator. But I could have sworn I just played a soundbite from 4 months ago where he said the exact opposite. You can't negotiate with these people. You shouldn't talk to these people. It's amazing what 4 months does to a person when you see lines of people collecting coal because they're in for a freezing winter in Poland. What an about face you're seeing from your Polish leaders right now. Maybe a wake-up call. If only we could see this from more leaders in the West. And having this awareness.
Well, you have to think that that's probably a lot of U.S. influence because U.S. is the ones we put sanctions on everything, and then we make everybody, like we sell the idea, here's why we have to do sanctions, and then they all get on board and they start doing it, but then they don't really realize the repercussions to their own people, and maybe they weren't expecting this to go the way that was. Maybe they believe the United States that, oh yeah, these sanctions are going to cripple Russia, they're going to pull out because they're going to go broke, like we're going to really hurt them, and then they're like, 4 months later, like, yeah, that's not true. These sanctions aren't doing anything but hurting us.
Yeah, and then today you have in the UK, you had people waking up and like people in Britain were stunned to see Russian warships off the coast. Oh, I guess that's a reality, right? I guess if we continue to provoke them by sending them billions in weapons and send Russian British soldiers into this area, I guess we shouldn't be surprised to wake up and see Russian warships off the coast of the English Channel this afternoon. Not surprising. Keep provoking the bear, I guess. But I hope that I hope Western leaders are paying attention to their people. At the end of the day, that's what I'm hopeful for. That they're actually paying attention. So we are with the people. Like we are with the people who get stomped on by these leaders, these corrupt politicians. And you can see them lying right through their teeth. Where 4 months ago, they're telling us how we're going to live our lives. And now they're walking this back because of concerns about how their country is going to look come this very, very cold winters coming up here. I'd love to hear from our Polish viewers. I apologize for butchering. I grew up in Pennsylvania, so I had a lot of Polish friends, but it took me a little while to learn their names. But when I got it, I nailed it. I had like Wisniewski.
Now it seems like
I had Kristen Wisniewski. I had Wisniewski. I had Slagowski. I had a lot of Polish friends growing up, but not this one.
Now it looks like the consensus is more along the lines of Morawiecki.
Morawiecki. The W is pronounced as a V, David says. Okay, Morawiecki. Did I get it right? Let me know if in the chat I got it right. It took me a whole segment to figure it out. Morawiecki.
So it's like Morawiecki. Morawiecki.
Yes.
No, that is wrong.
That's like Italian?
Oh.
You're Italian Polish.
That was my Brad Pitt.
Nods. Oh man, people are all over Morawiecki. Morawiecki? Did I get it right? Boy, man.
We just need to do a video of you like labeling them out. Number 1, Morawiecki. Number 2, Morawiecki. And then everybody can vote. And then at the end, we'll know which one it was.
Yes.
And then we still won't say it right.
More whiskey. That's what more whiskey. That's right. I like that one.